Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 2, the second episode of all time for the Tack Talk with Mrs. Hood podcast. I already recorded 8.5 minutes this morning for episode 1, but here I am again. I'm sorry for the sniffles. I was walking around outside and allergies ensued. So, I've done 5 miles today so far, which is excellent. And I have an online training in about an hour through some well-being thing for clock hours. You see, as teachers, you can get clock hours, which are training hours that you can use to bump up your salary on the salary schedule, but also, of course, are useful for personal and professional growth. So for example, but some, trainings are more relevant or useful than others to particular teachers. For example, I'm doing a book study. It started 2 weeks ago called A More Beautiful Question. That's the name of the book. Let me grab the author for you guys. But you read a chapter each week and then meet for an hour, and then you can do homework, which is exploring different resources that other people in the book study share. Book studies are great. A More Beautiful Question is by Warren Berger. Sorry, Warren. Shout out to Warren Berger, author of A More Beautiful Question. Great book. This book is it's an education-oriented book for teachers, but, not just for teachers. It's about questioning and how children they are natural questioners. They have natural curiosity, and we beat it out of them in the education system. We teach them to, not question at particular times or not ask questions, or they feel embarrassed to make mistakes or to look like they don't know the answers, when in fact school is for people who don't know the answers. It's to educate. We're all there to learn. The difference between students and teachers is that teachers find their mistakes faster. That's a great concept I heard recently. So what do you guys think about that? Let me know. You can always email me at mrshood113@gmail.com. But anyways, I'm trying to organize some guests for you. My mom volunteered to be my first guest, so she might be on soon. She's not a teacher, but she can co-host an episode with me, I guess. I wouldn't call her a guest. And then I've got a few teachers thinking about being a guest. Most people, it seems like, that I talk to are kind of, scared to do it. Don't be scared. This isn't an interview or a job interview. It's not, it's something where I'm going to judge you or criticize you. It's just to kind of hang out and chat and publicize who you are and things about teachers people might not have guessed, or it's really just, talking. Boring talking. The whole world can listen to, which is fun. Guys, I already have 6 downloads from my 8.5 minute upload this morning, so that was kind of cool. Anyways, I listened to the first ever episode in 2009 of one of my favorite podcasts, the Joe Rogan Experience. They had a funny beginning where there was a lot of silence, and that was kind of annoying but also reassuring. When you're starting a podcast, sometimes you got to take a second and figure something out, whether it's technology or what you want to say, and that's okay. But overall, I think starting a podcast has been real easy. It's definitely doable. Anyone can do it. Anyone with a microphone or a phone or a computer internet connection, it's pretty doable. So I really look forward to having a guest, someone I can talk to. I figured out how to record phone calls. So with COVID-19, we'll be able to do, remote interviews where people call in, one person at a time, one person per episode, I think. I haven't figured out how to do two people at once. I won't do that later. But let's just get some guests on here and go from there. What else did I want to tell you guys? Oh, other professional development I've been doing, or other books I've been reading for teaching. In case you're interested, there's, of course, some books I have that I haven't started reading yet, but I purchased on Kindle and I'm getting ready to check them out this summer. One of them is Grit by Angela Duckworth. I'm excited to read that one. The subtitle is The Power of Passion and Perseverance. So that'll be fun. Another one is Making Number Talks Matter by Kathy Humphries and Ruth Parker. I've always wanted to read this book about number talks, number sense, or fluency with math. I'm a math teacher. That is a skill in students that is really lacking, especially with the introduction of a lot of technology. Students need to still be able to have flexible thinking in math. And if you introduce some number talks, which are kind of like short 7-minute lessons on different ways of solving problems without calculator and without paper and pencil, it's just kind of number sense. Like, for example, 23 times 11. Do that in your head, or think about how you might do it, and then think of a different way to do it. And then let's talk about, what you got, but more importantly, what process you used and why. And so that's kind of the gist of a number talk. I probably butchered it. Sorry, Kathy and Ruth. But thank you for writing the book. I'm excited to read it. Of course, one of my biggest heroes is Jo Boaler, who is a British lady, and she works at Stanford in California, though, currently. So she's embraced the American life here. She's in California at Stanford. She's a math professor for education, and she has really applied the growth mindset concept to mathematics education. The growth mindset philosophy versus fixed mindset is where in fixed mindset you believe that people are born smart or dumb, basically. I know I'm butchering it, but if you believe or know that the truth of the growth mindset, then you know that anyone can learn. Oh, allergies. And you know that everything is a skill that can be studied and practiced and learned. So growth mindset is really important in students and children, but also adults. Because if you are of a fixed mindset, then you'll think you can never learn math. And that's a terrible notion, because it actually affects our ability to learn, our beliefs about ourselves. Our beliefs about ourselves really do influence our ability to actually learn and strengthen our brains. And her newest book, or one of her new books, called Limitless Mind by Jo Boaler, is a great book. The subtitle is Learn, Lead, and Live Without Barriers. It's not just for math educators. It's not just for educators. It's for anyone who wants to abolish the idea of a fixed mindset, that they weren't, born with the opportunity or ability to learn something they want to learn. It presents neuroscientific research about how anyone can learn, and how the belief that you can learn actually influences your ability to learn. So It's a great book. I would check out Limitless Mind. That one I have read. I did a book study on, and that was great. I didn't participate in the Zoom calls to discuss the book, but I did some online modules, some online discussion board questions together with a group of teachers. Another book is for math specifically is called Mathematics for Human Flourishing. And that, it is about mathematics specifically, but not just for people who are into math. It's really for people who are looking to rekindle their love of math or get over their math anxiety. And then that's by Francis Su. And it's a great book that discusses, I've read it, I did a book study on it where I actually discussed it on Zoom with other teachers. Shout out to Carrie Black and George, forgot your last name, George, sorry. They hosted it and ran it. That was a great book study for the state of Washington. And it talks about how mathematics actually can increase different attributes like problem solving. I'm forgetting. Different qualities of a person are enhanced by studying mathematics. Like perseverance or hard work or effort or even love, pattern finding, tolerance. All of these things can be strengthened through studying math. He even has a section on equity about how to include all groups in teaching math or in learning math, and how math can open doors for people. Another book I read that I did a discussion boards book study on that I'm really excited about for the fall is called Up for Debate by Chris Luzniak. Up for Debate was inspired by Chris doing debate in high school and also coaching a debate team. And he combined that with math. So it's another math kind of education book. And I'm really excited because I did I did debate in high school, and I had a lot of fun being on the speech and debate team. Shout out to my debate coach, Ms. Lee. Friends with her on Facebook still, actually. And I think he presents a really good case about how students can combine math and debate by sharing opinions about different math problems, open math problems that have maybe more than one answer, or maybe the question is, here's an equation. What is the best way to start this equation? Start solving this equation. What is the worst way to start solving this equation? And students can, say, well, the best way to start this equation is, and in his book he says you should use words students are unfamiliar with, kind of that are formal. So they might say, my claim is the best way to start this equation is to, subtract 10 from both sides. But then they have to follow it up with a warrant or a justification. So my claim is so-and-so, and my warrant is because that will allow you to have less terms to deal with, or something like that. So it really emphasizes having evidence or justification for your opinion. Of course, in introducing the marriage of debate and math in your classroom, you can start with just combining debate with familiar topics like what is the best movie, or what is the best flavor of ice cream, and then they have to still stand up, say my claim is chocolate chip, and my warrant is who doesn't like chocolate, something like that. So I was excited to try that. If we're on distance learning in the fall still, then I would use Flipgrid. So, sorry, allergies. I would use Flipgrid, which is an online video tool for students can make quick little videos. You can set a timer as a teacher for the length of the videos, but they can record their audio and their video if they so choose, and reply to each other with videos as well. It's flipgrid.com, flipgrid.com. Great resource. Some teachers use Seesaw, SEESAW, for video recording for students, but students have told me that Seesaw is really slow. Maybe too many people are using it. I don't know. So Flipgrid I found is really fun. I actually used it at the beginning of distance learning for some social interaction. I should have kept using it throughout the whole thing. But I have 57 videos in my social time folder. About 50 different students recorded videos, just kind of sharing what they've been doing during the quarantine and things. And that was really powerful to see that a third of my students, over a third, because I have 135 students, so about 50 different students sharing videos is a pretty good rate of engagement, of involvement. I was kind of proud of that. So that was kind of fun. Let's see, what other books have I read or PD have I done? I did some, PD, some professional development classes on math routines, and I won't bore you with that. But that was kind of fun because they talked about number talks and it reignited my passion for that. I talked about that earlier. On a personal note, books I'm reading right now that I'm into, might as well talk about that while we're talking about books. I like all kinds of books, and I'm really bad at reading one book at a time. Someone once told me when I was in college, right after high school, they said it's unfair to the author to not wholly focus on that author's book. I disagree. I'm sorry, authors and writers, but I like to have a book for every mood. So I read like 6 to 10 books at a time, meaning one day I might read a chapter of this book, the next day I might read a few pages of a different book, and so on and so forth. And also I'm using an online app through my library, since the libraries are all closed for quarantine. I'm renting digital ebooks, that was redundant, through my library app, and then they open in like the Kindle app, which is really convenient, and it's free. It's all free, but you have to, some of the more popular books, I'm on hold for, and then you can only rent them for 28 days or something like that. So I'm in the middle of a fantasy book by Jim Butcher. Jim Butcher is an amazing author. I'm reading his series, The Furies of Calderon, and I'm on the 4th or 5th book, I don't know, but it's called Princeps Fury. It's book 5 of the Codex Alera. There's 6 books total. If you're into fantasy at all, it's got magic, it's got fighting, it's got cool descriptions and dialogue, and it's a really easy read. It's a quick read. It's not meant to be, like some other books I've read that are more dense. Though I like dense books as well. Another fantasy book I'm actually reading for the second time right now is called Wraithu. WRAETHTHU. Wraithu. By Storm Constantine. That's kind of an older fantasy book, but it's really good. It's more dense, definitely more prose heavy, meaning the writing is more descriptive and not as quick to read. Longer sentences, etc., etc. But great book. One of my favorite books of all time. I'm also reading Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. Can you tell I like fantasy books? Yeah. So that's by, I'm looking up actually, oh, Susanna Clarke is the author of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. It's a British book, very dry kind of humor and writing. Pretty interesting. I like it so far. I'm about a couple hundred pages, I think, but it's good. I like it. And then I'm also reading, so to shift away from fantasy here, I'm reading Just Kids by Patti Smith. Patti Smith was, or is, a musician. She's, in her 70s now or so, but she was intimate with Robert Mapplethorpe, who was a photographer, and in the 60s or whatever. And she is a really interesting person and a great writer. She wrote a book about their kind of time together in the 60s. And it's a cool cultural snapshot of that time. And they're in New York City. And it's the music scene and the art scene, and it's really a good book. It's my favorite book for sure. I have three different copies of it. I've got like a limited edition hard copy that's signed by her that my husband got me. Shout out to Richard Hood, Mr. Hood. Thank you. That was a wonderful present. And I have a paperback that I write in, and then I have the original hardcover that my husband had bought and I kind of took and read. So he gave it to me. But anyways, that's another book I'm reading. And then I'm reading Truth and Beauty, another memoir type book by Ann Patchett about her friendship with a woman named Lucy Greeley, I think. About their friendship, kind of a memoir, but not of an entire lifetime, just of their friendship. That's a really good book. I liked Bel Canto by Ann Patchett, but I didn't like the ending, so don't have that book anymore. I've got a whole bag of books to take to Powell's. Powell's is a huge, huge, huge bookstore in Portland, Oregon. And I'm going to sell a bunch of books for credit there once they open and are accepting patrons selling books. You can, get store credit or cash, but you get more if you get store credit. So there's that. I'm also reading, what else am I reading? Let's see. I'm big into travel books too. Paul Theroux is a great great author. He does some really in-depth journalism type travel writing. Oh, I wanted to tell you, I also have a hold in my library app on an anti-racist book called Between the World and Me by, I'm going to not pronounce their name correctly, but it's by Ta-Nehisi Coates. It's called Between the World and Me. It's supposed to be a really good book to increase my awareness of racism in myself and others and how to change it. And my understanding of the Black experience. So I'm looking forward to that. I did do a book study on white fragility by Robin DiAngelo. And, I've heard criticisms of her work. I don't agree with everything I read in that book, but it was a really great introduction to my education in anti-racism. So that was a really enlightening, eye-opening book study. Shout out to Viewridge Middle School for putting on that book study, and Paul Hannon, our instructional coach. See, in teaching you have certain teachers will graduate to become instructional coaches, where they're teachers teaching teachers. So they stop teaching. They don't teach in the classroom anymore, usually, if they become a full-time coach. and they just help new teachers and existing teachers with improving their practice, improving their teaching practice. So Paul is the instructional coach for the middle school and high school in my district, and he co-hosted or co-ran that book study with another teacher. I can't remember her name, sorry. I'm sorry, but that was a great book study. And then, let's see. Oh, I have so you want to talk about race. I have a physical copy of that book that I'm going to read here. And then, what else am I reading? Let's see. What else am I reading? I don't know. I think that's it. I think, how many books was that? Like 8, 9, 10 that I'm currently reading? And then another, however many I talked about that you should check out. Yeah. Oh, another book that I recently have not liked, decided I don't like, is A Heartbreaking Work of Staggering Genius. It's an embellished autobiography of David Eggers. Shout out to Dave. He used to be my hero. He's a great author, a great writer. I used to be just kind of infatuated with that book. Tried to reread it recently, and I've changed it, I guess. Sometimes you change and you reread a book 10 years, 5 years later, and it's just not your thing anymore. But he does great work. Let me tell you about Dave Eggers. He has a writing center in where he lives. Is it San Francisco? Let me see. Writing center. I'm gonna have to find it, you guys. It's called 826 National. And I think it's a nonprofit writing and tutoring center for kids ages 6 to 18 in San Francisco. He co-founded it with another person, an educator. And this is the funniest thing. It's got a theme to it for kids to be more interested in it. The theme, I think their theme is pirates. They have a pirate supply store where you can buy different pirate memorabilia or different pirate tools, and it's all just built up to look like a pirate ship. Oh, it's so funny. And then other writing and tutoring centers have, popped up around the country, around the world probably, with different themes. I know there's a superhero themed one somewhere in the Midwest. Oh, it's hilarious. He did a TED Talk. Dave Eggers did a TED Talk about it. It's a great watch. A great view. You should watch his TED Talk. His name is Dave Eggers, or David Eggers, Eggers. So, anyhow, I hope you guys can't hear me typing. Maybe you can. I'm supposed to be on my plugged-in headphone microphone thing, but it might not be doing that. It might just be catching all the typing noises, which is totally fine. Whatever. That's fine. So, that's it for me for now. Hopefully, episode 3 will feature our first guest. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. I gotta think of some way to end this podcast episode every time. These episodes gotta have a better ending routine. At the beginning I say, do I even say anything specific at the beginning? I don't know. I'll have to come up with some bumpers. They call them bumpers, I guess, where you have a beginning and ending routine. Later, maybe I'll do some music. For now, just stay cool.